One of my favorite articles you've written, probably my favorite article ever written, was by you, which was on the subject of PMI. A lot of objections that people have, to maybe getting FHA or similar low down loans is the PMI payment. And like we talked about a minute ago, like they don't really realize, in my opinion, how much investors have to have up front to be able to buy a property, right? We talked about, the 20 to 25%. The bank requires reserves, right? Speak to PMI and why it really isn't maybe the boogeyman.
Yeah, so PMI is a wonderful thing, right? PMI allows you to use like a tenth of the money you would otherwise, or maybe, yeah, to actually purchase a property, right? Like without PMI, you wouldn't be able to get property with 3.5% down, 5% down, and all of those other things. And people always want to save up that 20% down. And I think maybe share that article in the show notes or whatever. But in that article, I show all of the math about why that idea is just absolutely ridiculous and absurd. The reason is that if you're gonna, in my market, a house will say it's about $400,000, right? And this will change with every market, right? So you'll need $80,000 if you want 20% down, or you do 3 or 5% down, and now all you need is $20,000. That's a fourth of what you need, and you can save up $20,000 every year when you're house hacking. So now every year you're doing a house hack, and if you do that for 5 or 10 years, you're gonna have 10 properties. Now, if you got to save up 80 grand every time, at the end of 10 years, you might have two or
Right.
maybe three, right?
Right.
Hell, maybe even you have five, right? Say you start saving one, you have five. You're still only half is where you would be if you just did the 3.5% down. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Your tenants are paying the PMI. Just run the numbers and make sure they work.
That,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and yeah, so in that post, I think I can't remember now. I'm getting my posts mixed up, but I think like the difference in net worth over the course of like a 10-year period is like millions of dollars. So you decide, right?
Yeah, and it's not like even in an FHA situation, PMI doesn't have to be a forever thing, right? I mean, if somebody's like so concerned with PMI, like there's ways to remove that, right? As far as refinancing FHA and conventional, where you can actually get a drop off at 22%. But like, it's not the boogeyman. It's actually, like you said, a good thing,
Yeah.
especially for house hackers, right?
Oh,
Because I mean that PMI payment is so minimal compared to what you would have to bring, like you said, as an investor or a regular, 20% borrower. That, yeah, I mean, over the course of 10 years, I mean, it'll just blow away as far as net worth and what your return of what you're paying in PMI.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And remember, like that's what makes house hacking so powerful is that you're going to get those 100% returns because that your denominator, the amount of money you invested, is so low.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your return on investment and your cash on cash returns are just, ridiculous compared to some of the other investments.
Yeah.
So on that vein, talk a little bit about the best loan products that you recommend to house hackers to look into. We've talked about a couple, but
Yeah, so the best ones are going to be if you're looking for a single family home, I recommend just a 5% down conventional, or if you're a first time home buyer, 3% down. Do not waste your FHA loan on a single family. Um, if you're wanting to go a 2, 3, or 4 family, then you can use your FHA loan because typically the banks won't lend 5% down on a multifamily property, like even 2 or more units. If you're in the military, the VA loan is probably the best one because 0% down, right? That's even better than the other options. And yeah, and then there's the USDA loan as well. So if you're in a rural area, then the USDA, and yes, that is the same organization that like grades your beef. They offer loans as well that it will be 0% down, but you have to be kind of out in the boondocks. So
yeah, and even with the USDA, like they actually, some of the maps aren't even out in the boondocks. Chad Duvall house hacked right outside of Boston with the USDA loan, right? In my markets of Detroit and Flint, like it's only the hub of downtown Detroit, downtown Flint that you can't use USDA. You can do all so it can be in the suburbs of a big city with USDA loan sometimes. It just depends on the map.